Welcome, everybody. My name's Jeff St. Laurent. This is the Tuesday live show, and I help coaches transition to a full time business. Today's topic is about imposter syndrome, which, if you've never heard that term, some people call it a technical term, but it's not really a technical term, but it's something we refer to where we're starting off something new and we just don't feel like we fit in. We don't feel like we valued or we are valued or we're valuable. It's something that we feel like we shouldn't be there, and we question kind of who we are in that position, and we ask ourselves, who am I to be doing this? Why would this be valuable, etc. And it's a feeling of not belonging, or I'm not the person I need to be in order to be successful here. I'm sure you felt it before, and in fact, today I'm going to talk about why it's important you do feel it, and how I would be surprised if you didn't feel it. With that being said, before I jump into that, I do record all of my live shows. I put them in my university at sellingcoaching.com. Go ahead and check that out. Like I said, I've got a lot of great resources to help you transition to a full-time business, no matter where you're at in your coaching business. If you want to start off right on the homepage at sellingcoaching.com, if you enter your name and email, that's not only going to put you into my email community where you'll get a communication from me on a weekly basis, sharing some great information about this transition to full-time, but also it's going to give you a great audio resource called Launching Your Full-Time Coaching Business, the First 3 Vital Steps. So with that being said, I do want to talk about this imposter syndrome. And I kind of left off just a second ago saying how we get to this point of saying, I said that you should be feeling like an imposter. And it's actually a good thing if you feel like an imposter as you're launching your business. And honestly, all the way throughout your business, I've been doing this full time since 2004. And there are certain points where I feel like an imposter. And I say that because to me, if you're pushing yourself to new levels, into new areas, to new heights, you're challenging yourself to grow personally and also obviously professionally in your business, then at some point you're going to feel like an imposter. That's just how it is. It hopefully won't be as intense as sometimes it can feel in the beginning when we're doing something like when we're launching our business, but it's absolutely there and it's a real thing. It doesn't have to be real and consume you, yet it can be a real feeling. And of course, why wouldn't you feel this way? You know, when you look at, you can decide what your definition of this imposter syndrome feels like for you and in what areas. Yet at the end of the day, you're diving into something that is most likely brand new to you, you've never done before. I would venture to say, in my experience in working with coaches, 95+% of them have never been entrepreneurs or business owners before. They've been employees. And an employee is being an employee is very different than being an entrepreneur. As an employee, you show up and you get paid for time. It's just like I work 8 hours, I get paid for 8 hours. That's the traditional employee. Whereas an entrepreneur, you don't get paid for time, you get paid for results. No one's paying me to be in this office however long I spend in it. No one's paying me to do this live show, etc., or to have follow-up calls or do my marketing. I only get paid when I create results. Therefore, it doesn't matter how long or short it takes me. It's just that's the end all goal, and I've got to understand the activities to do those things. And initially, a lot of those activities for what we're doing in our coaching business are new to us, and we're not sure how to do those things, and we get overwhelmed, and so we can feel like an imposter. And so it's a real thing, and if you're feeling it, like, that's normal. And if in some ways this helps validates, if nothing else, then that's, to me, that would be can be a takeaway from this. But with that being said, when we feel like an imposter, it's like we don't belong as a definition of that. And oftentimes we're wearing a mask, if you will, or we're not ourselves in a given situation. It's really challenging to do something brand new and to feel like yourself and to be yourself. Yet that's the very nature of our business. And ultimate challenge for you is to ultimately find a way to bring your true self to this space. Because what I've learned over the years is that's what people buy. In a business where we're selling a service like coaching, a very ethereal, intangible, experience-based service that people will only buy it once they've experienced it. And the deliverer, if you will, of the goods is you. A lot of what people are buying is you and how you facilitate it, your energy, your tone, your emotion, how vulnerable they are. They begin to know you, trust you, like you, and also they feel like you understand them. That's a huge element to people working with you and ultimately hiring you. And the only way we get to that spot is by being our true self. So when we get to this imposterous space, where especially when we it holds us back and it reserves us, it's like we're wearing a mask because we want to hide because we're afraid to show ourselves. We don't know ourselves in this space yet. That's the work that needs to be done over the next several years, if you will. And I would say that 3 to 5 years, that's a really good time frame to you're constantly growing and working and figuring yourself out in this space of entrepreneurship. But that's the ultimate goal, to begin to release this imposterous type feeling. And I wish I had like, oh, take this pill and you won't feel this way anymore. It's not how it works. Just like in anything, there's the work of doing it. We're not going to just become comfortable speaking and articulating our message in a written form, in a video-based form, in an audio-based form, presenting ourselves and our message. We're not going to just come out of the gates and be comfortable with that. There's some who have those skill sets, some translate from past industries, past experiences, but for the vast majority of us, that's not the case. So it's building new skill sets, building new, what's the one I'm looking for? Building new, it's skill sets, and finding the space for us, or finding who we are in this space. It's starting to look to the people that know us the best in spaces that we are familiar, and we are ourselves, to start to understand, how am I in that space? Who am I in that space? How did I get to be, if you will, myself in that space? Ask people that know you, love you, have seen you in that space, who can start to deliver that, start to understand it, and start to then ask yourself, how can I bring more and more of that each time I do a presentation, each time I speak, each time I write, each time I'm interacting. And that's the practicing. You're practicing. This business isn't, I'm going from zero to perfect. That's never going to happen. So in order for us to grow along the way, we've got to be continually putting ourselves out there, and that's the practice. And we're actually practicing it as we're doing it for real, if that makes sense. It's not like, oh, well, this is just practice, I'm gonna keep it behind the scenes. It's like, no, you're out of the scenes, out from behind, and you're in the scene, if you will, and putting yourself out there. And it's just starting to understand that the value you bring to the table now is not any better than you'll bring it in 5, 10, 15 years. It's just different. And in fact, what you bring now is a youthful ignorance and naivete to the space. And you might think, did he just call me ignorant? And I'm like, no. Well, I know that's what I had when I came to the space. And beyond all that stuff, there was this passionate ignorance and a passionate naivete to the space, which is actually good, because it keeps us going and it keeps us fighting through the hard stuff. It's that passion. It's that why we do what we do. And that's important. And as we go forward in practice, we mature and we grow. And that's what brings us more value as we, put ourselves out there. But right now, I want that passion to shine it through. I want you to embrace the ignorance. I want you to embrace the naivete. I want you to embrace the imposterous and other overwhelming type feelings, because that means you're doing the right thing. The second that stuff starts to go away and things start to get easy and you become comfortable, you haven't made it. Actually, you've probably already failed, because you're not pushing yourself. And in this industry, in this business, as an entrepreneur, we've got to be pushing ourselves. I'm not saying 24/7 all the time. There's times where we slow down, we step back because we need to, and then we keep pushing. But we've got to have those bouts of push that keep growing us, because otherwise you're going to be missing out. Everything changes. We evolve. Technology changes. Business changes. Economy changes. And if you're not keeping up with that stuff and understanding your market and your people, then you'll become extinct pretty quickly before you even start off. But it's first off understanding ourselves better so we can bring more of that to this space. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on my website, sellingcoaching.com. And I hope that this helped you get yourselves out there a little bit more so you can feel more like yourself and start getting some clients. But until then, create a great week.